Good morning. Let's get started. Looking at VTYX right now in pre-market. One of these biotech stocks, sort of small cap, sort of maybe on the edge of mid cap, but pretty small cap. Half a billion dollar company. The biotechs have been kind of hot lately. So maybe you have to be a little careful with this. But the interesting thing with this one is they do have some warrants. Let me see. Yeah, convertibles. We got convertibles at $3.82, which have not been used yet. These are from September of 2024. So let me pull this chart up. So September of 2024, we haven't even been to that conversion price yet. So we just got there over the past week or so. But no point in converting unless you're going to make a profit, right? So now the stock is pumping up to up at $8 now. And probably they're going to be offloading some of these convertibles. I would imagine probably all of them. Now there's only 7 million of them, which is a decent amount. Has traded 47 million on the day. But, it would be a convenient time to offload those convertibles sometime today. So we'll see what they do with that. Hopefully this comes down easy. These biotechs have been kind of difficult lately. So we will keep a close watch on that. That is the main runner right now. We did have SLMT back here at 7 a.m. Decent move there. SGBX, another one. Didn't quite set up for me. Didn't quite set up. And a few miscellaneous other ones. Not much else. Not much else. So hopefully this thing tops out. It has had this nice run back here in March of 24. Nice little multi-day runner action. So I don't know. Is it going to get all the way back up there to 1150? Is it going to break out of that? Probably not. Probably not all at once, at least. Pretty unlikely. So, but that is kind of the risk of this trade. You get something like BENF, which is kind of similar. Very different, but similar kind of action. Now you can see this one. Similar, but different. Back here, because it had this multi-day run right here. Pulled all the way back. And then we had this day on the backside, which blasted off right through that breakout level on this massive move up. So that would be the risk on the VTYX trade. Pretty different, but same idea, because you got this initial move up, pull back, and then now follow-up move could be pretty explosive. Plus, you can imagine if you're shorting the stock, you want to short around that $1.22 area, ideally, maybe best case scenario, and then it keeps going through that even, so it's going to cause a squeeze. So that would be VTYX. The main difference is the time that's passed, because if I zoom it out, it's basically the same potential pattern. but a lot more time has gone by. Totally different kind of stock, different float, different structure. So, anyways, it ran up to $6 or $8 already. Probably going to be done, most likely. Maybe a little chop out of the open would be my guess. Now, potentially could burn up to $10. But we'll see. I don't have a lot of faith in it. And with these convertibles, it should help. I always sell where the sellers are selling. So we're short selling. Still got to be careful. So it looks like Tesla had earnings. Kind of coming down a bit on the earnings. So I have a blueprint for this one. This is my guess for Tesla. Let me pull up Tesla over here. Yeah, so this was my guess for Tesla with this blueprint. And we got this horizontal support or resistance area. Does it become support is the question. Or does it go back towards the bottom of this channel, which is kind of what Tesla likes to do, just like it did back here. Hanging out in that channel, eventually doing the fake breakdown move, take out the lows, and then rip it to new highs. And now, yeah, if I squish this, this looks like a very similar kind of pattern that we just had back here, except it's trading higher. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do something similar. Maybe start pulling back. Eventually, it's going to probably take off again, back towards $1,000 would be my guess. But probably not now. It's probably going to take a while. So probably some short-term pullbacks, I would guess, just a guess. And so now this earnings situation sort of aligns with that idea. So we'll see what it does. I wouldn't be surprised if it breaks back down below 400. Maybe bounces off of 350, 360. I don't know. Pure speculation, but I do have the blueprint as my best guess. It's always fun to predict what these are going to do. Lulu, kind of in an interesting spot now. Lulu, we got this blueprint here following pretty closely. Kind of interesting. And now recently, come all the way down. We got 70% pullback off the top, but we have a trend break right here. Decent looking trend break. Aligning with the blueprint. Pretty nice looking trend break, honestly. Tagged right there, tagged right there, tagged right there, and reclaiming that 20 moving average. Now we have trade talks with China on the 1st. So that kind of aligns with the blueprint as well. Bigger trend break potentially over here, going to break in November. So I'm averaging into this, starting on this trend break, this smaller trend break. I want to get all my size in below $200. And then hopefully, trade talks go well. We see a push into the end of the year. Maybe by December, we're back in the 200s. Maybe pushing 300. Mid to high 200s would be great. I think it's a matter of time before Lulu bounces. But I do think the trade deal is going to be pretty key. Trump just said on Twitter he thinks he's going to have a deal with China on everything. So who knows? Tariffs, no tariffs, tariffs, no tariffs, tariffs, no tariffs. Going back and forth on things a little bit. As he does. Interesting quantum fake out news. We see fake news too, which is kind of funny. So we had some fake news of the government buying quantum, which I didn't believe. And then today they announced that no, they're actually not pursuing quantum at all. So dispelling that rumor pretty quickly. Only took a day or so. But that's what can happen. Reuters even was one of the culprits. So BYND, a lot of traders having record days on BYND. Pretty incredible move. Classic setup. So we were trying it. I sort of botched it. I made a little bit, but yeah, it should be a record day kind of move. Really should be. And this little bounce here around 10:30 is what messed me up because I thought this would have rolled over pretty easily. It had one extra bounce out of it. Threatened to squeeze right there. And then when that failed, it rolled over really nicely. Little trend break right here. Breakdown pullback maneuver. So I really wanted to re-hit this, but really trying not to keep attacking and attacking and attacking a stock if I can help it, because I tend to get unhinged. And I just got to cut myself off after a certain point, so that doesn't happen. I thought this had potential of just going sideways all day, too. And that's the scenario that would have really chopped me up if I kept trading. So I was hoping that this would have maybe kept going sideways and then cracked today, but it ended up happening yesterday. So a lot of these traders having record days on this. BYND, Beyond Meat, and this was one of the most shorted stocks in the market recently. So that's a clue that we could be having a squeeze. Plus, whenever we get this kind of a breakdown to new lows, usually we see these things dump before the pump. So that's typical kind of pattern. Below $1 another massive key level. Of course, if you're below $1 for too long, you get delisted. So there is some incentive to push the stock above $1 as well. So you kind of get a perfect storm of things happening to cause this kind of a move. So pretty nice looking volume at the bottom too. See that those volume bars really kicking up when this thing dropped below $1. Looks like maybe some accumulation happening. Pushing, I don't know, over 100 million each day here below $1, and then 400 million on this little day. And then when it gets going here, then the volume really kicks in, pushing 1 billion volume on the day, several days in a row. Pretty impressive move. And this is what the dump looks like. So we did have a massive gap. Maximize that. Yeah, pretty big gap up from overnight. Big push the previous day. Massive gap. 100% up. 25% up here in pre-market. Nice blow off top type move. And then the question is, how is this thing going to roll over? Unfortunately, yeah, it had this extra chop at 10:30. That kind of messed me up. But a lot of pros nailing this and having record days on this trade yesterday. So let's take a look at some of those because that is interesting. I got some bookmark stuff here. Let's see what we got here. So Eternal Envy, number one, he had 7 million on it yesterday. He just shows the PL right there. So 7 million short and long, mostly on short. Looks like he did 6.5 short. But he lost 3.7 on it the day before. So it's not always obvious when the right day is to take the stab at it. It's clear in hindsight every time. But interesting. So he got his money back and made an extra 3.5 million on that. And then take a look here at how much was the risk? Probably 3 million. Probably 3 million. Or maybe more. I don't know. I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he manages his risk. But you'll see that this stock was prime to have a record day on. For people that know what they're doing, I knew it was a good A+ setup, but I screwed it up still because of that extra chop. And so Steven Dux here did 7 million on it too. So here's his trade. He shows the chart. Nice guy. So you can see that he started adding in after the open, and he averaged into that bounce. Now my trade was, I was getting in pre-market, covered the dip. I thought it would just keep rolling over, but it bounced, kind of chopped me up a little bit. So I was still green on it, but really it should be record day type trade. Anyways, Ducks hit this dip right here, averaged up, and it looks like after this little clear out happened, he spotted that and loaded his size on right there. So probably what's happening here is he's thinking, well, I'm going to start in here, and then if it goes lower, I gotta add lower. If it goes up, bounces some, I add into the bounce and do that kind of thing. So he's hitting this 10:30 bounce really nicely, and then the fade happens. So beautiful fade. He hits that dip really hard, covers a lot of that, reshorts the bounce, adds into this breakdown over here, and then covers this dip. And then it looks like he's reshorting the bounce again over here, right around, I don't know, 230 ish. Nails the top right there somehow. Maybe looking at a trend break kind of thing. And then covers the dips here into the afternoon. So pretty much milked it as much as you possibly can milk the stock for $7 million. So pretty amazing. And then Eternal Envy asked him, did you lose 3.7 on it or more the day before? And he says, no. First trade on it today. So sick numbers. I can't even begin to understand the type of emotions tied with that kind of risk. Much props. Yeah, and these guys have been doing this for a while. So they've got millions and of dollars, So it's not like they're going all in on these trades. This is just, it's a high quality setup. So they're willing to risk $1 million, $2 million, a few $1,000,000, Probably Ducks has made $50 million, something like that. Maybe 100. I don't know what he's made. But Steven Ducks is up on the Kinfo leaderboards. He's been on the top leaderboards for verified traders, third-party verified. And he stopped uploading his trades for several years, I believe. So he's still up there on the leaderboards without even uploading for several years. So, actually legit trader. The short bear, another one. This guy's legit as well. This guy is a short seller typically, but looks like he bought the dip on it. And he's hitting those dips. So you could see where Ducks was covering. Well, how do these guys know where to cover? Well, this guy knows where to cover too. He's typically a short seller, but instead of shorting it, looks like he didn't want to do the short for some reason. He bought the dip. So bought the dip, sold it, bought the dip, sold it again. This second trade here this is maybe a 20, 25, 30% bounce that he captured. So decent trade there, really nice. And you can see, you can kind of get an idea of the size he's trading just by looking at these triangles, because these triangles have a little black border, like a 1 or 2 pixel border on them, and you can just see that these things are stacked because it just turns the chart black in certain patchy spots. So that's how many executions are going through right here. You can just see blobs of black in there all over the place. And especially over here where he's selling the bulk of it, there's a blob of black right there. So those are just stacked triangles because he's trading so big. Just that many executions going through. So, yeah, this guy's legit. Short bear's the man. Yeah, he's insanely good. Jack Kellogg, another one. So Jack did 3.3 almost on it. This guy's also legit. He said this is his biggest short trade ever on BYND. And so Jack was hitting it also kind of like Ducks, because he started after the open, taking a little bit, but then in that 1030 move, that's where he got his size on. So he added there into that move, maybe risking pre-market highs or something. I don't know what these guys are risking, but adding into that 1030 bounce really nicely. And then after this crack right here, back to the 4s. So he's in at 7s. It's back to the 4s, and he's adding more. And then it dumps some more, and then he takes all of it out into this dump right here. So, pretty incredible trade. Out at $3 from 7. Added a bunch here. See, this kind of ad is a free ad because you're not really taking risk on to get this ad. You're risking unrealized gains, maybe, but you could be risking break even on this whole trade after this ad right here. And this is a chance to add a bunch more size on. And this had a nice follow through move. So pretty incredible move there. And it's almost like he's looking for leg 2. Like, where's the next leg down? It didn't quite do that. It did give a little leg, so See, this first move is sort of leg one. A lot of times you get leg two. So it's maybe like a half of a leg two, but still, regardless, that's like insane. Absolutely nuts. So 3.2 on that. Pretty incredible. This guy says no dip buy. He says, of course I bought the dip. So he may have even bought the dip here like Ducks did, or Short Bear. And then sold that 30% bounce right there too. Was this, so I remember Lance saying something about if you're gonna buy the dip, make sure you buy enough that you make the bottom. I guess that's the advantage of small or big size. Yeah, who knows? I don't know if these guys are, I don't know if they're pushing it around like that. But clearly they're on the same kind of war path. And if you got $1 billion trading on the day, these guys they got maybe 10 million each, let's say, into the stock. So 30 million bucks, 40 million bucks, 50 million, something like that between all of them combined. And the thing's trading $1 billion on the day. So it's really kind of small size compared to the overall picture. So anyways, that's beyond one of the biggest opportunities this year. And there's been a bunch of them, but yeah, this is one of the super, super nice ones. Super inspiring to see that. It's no different than market makers or manipulation. All you have to do is set the trigger. Yeah, and I don't think these guys are collaborating or anything like that. It's possible that they are, but these guys, they kind of come from the same background. And those kind of patterns have been around forever. So it goes all the way back to the OTC times. That was a classic OTC pattern. And I think it's the whatever. I don't know if it's manipulation so much as just panic and emotions coming through on the chart. So it's when the thing dips so much, and you've got stop losses to getting taken out too. So if you're dip buying it, where's your stop? You have to just, if you think about, well, if someone's risking low a day right here, you got a lot of people risking low a day if they're buying it. And then when it cracks low a day right there, you get a huge speed up. So that's just classic, stop losses getting taken out. Maybe people panic selling, that kind of stuff is happening. Also, maybe manipulators could be taking out certain levels like that on purpose. So I don't think they're not causing that to happen. They're just kind of aware of it, and they kind of know the key spots of where to try things. And yeah, it's possible they have some impact on it. But yeah, like right over here, you've got, in this stretch of time, about 10 minutes, you've got about $200 million being traded. $200 million. So these guys maybe make up $50 million. So let's say they're all slamming in the same spot. $50 million, $200 million traded. Yeah, that's a good chunk of that. That's a quarter of it. in 10 minutes. So it's possible that there's some impact there. Would it have panicked further if they weren't buying there? Maybe. But we saw Jack's trade, and Jack was all out in like this 1 minute candle. You know, so, and then it tried to go lower. So Jack had basically zero impact on it. So yeah, it's hard to say. There's definitely some shenanigans going on. Frequently. It's kind of like this bounce right here, you know? None of those guys would have caused this bounce, but this was a crazy shakeout. A crazy shakeout move. So yeah, occasionally there's opportunities like that that are just record breaking potential setups. If you know what to do with it, now those guys have been around for a while, at least 10 years each. So they've been in the game. They know exactly what they're doing, and I know Short Bear doesn't just trade any setup. He's going after only the top tier, high quality stuff. Same with Ducks. I don't really know what Ducks does fully, but I know these guys all came from the same place. I think you're right with the timing. It's one of the things that separate a good trader from the rest of trade. The rest is finding opportunities, times to enter or exit. Yeah. And the thing is, once you get to a certain level, then your job is actually to not trade unless there's something really good. You kind of have to get to that point though where you can do that, because you got to go through the gauntlet, you know, to get there, to even know what's good, and then to get the experience. And then like these guys, they've already made it. Basically, they've got millions and millions of dollars, so they can afford to take, you know, 5 trades a year, something like that, and just wait for really good stuff like BYND, and then make, you know, several million on each of those opportunities. And there's no need to trade a lot. You just have to wait for the right times to jump in. And when things are going well, and when things work like they're supposed to, it's not that hard to do. If you're able to just wait for these kind of opportunities, and you know how to handle it when it shows up. Kind of like the quantum trade, I feel like is the same situation. Now these guys didn't trade it, as far as I know, but this quantum short, this was another one. This is like generational wealth opportunity stuff. How often do you have a squeeze like this on a mid cap that would let you go as big as you want on this trade? Now you got to be able to make it count. So like these guys have, millions and millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars. So they can go big when it counts and then make $3 million, $5 million, whatever they can get. So it's worth it to wait for these kind of things, because then you're just taking the good opportunities when they show up. But yeah, quantum, I mean, look at the trend break. It's just a simple trend break. So I took the trade. Obviously, I'm not trading that big, but I had a great trade on it for the swing short. And that's another difference. This is a swing trade. The other one is a day trade. So, but this is one of those opportunities where you could make that kind of money. Like if I was Jack or Short Bear, and I saw this, I would probably load up some puts and then make a few million bucks on this trade. And then when it bounces, reshort it again and do it again. And then, by the end of it, I'm probably up 10 million bucks. And then that makes my year, So that's the kind of stuff that you can do when you've got that kind of a account size. And you know what to do with it. And then now Lulu. I feel like Lulu is probably another one of these opportunities. And the thing is, with a lot of these, you don't know until it plays out. But that's why you got to go through the gauntlet, of learning what to do. And some of these things, these aren't things that these guys would trade. This is stuff that I'm seeing, like the quantum short. I don't think they're shorting quantum. I don't know if they are or not. Some of them are, I think. But how many of them are buying Lulu? Probably none of them. And I think Lulu is a similar kind of opportunity into this bounce. It's a swing trade. So there's stuff like that at least has potential to be insanely good. But the opportunities, you don't get a ton of opportunities. You get a decent amount of opportunities, but you don't get a BYND every day or every month. I've been working on less discretionary myself, just focusing on pre-planning. Number of trades per week has dropped drastically. Yeah, and that's good. The number of trades, you really don't have to take a ton of trades to make a lot of money. And the end game is to have a multi-million-dollar account and to trade maybe a handful of times a year on stuff like this when it happens. And then maybe, run some investment type trades that can go up 50% in 6 months or something. Sell calls, maybe do some bonds, stuff like that. So that's the end game, but I'm trying to get to the end game, I'm trying to get to the midpoint. I'm trying to get to the starting line. So anyways, we were on top of it. Still kind of botched the trade, made a little bit on it. But yeah, that's half the battle, is just even recognizing the potential and the opportunity. And honestly, this one, I saw this one back here on Friday on the 17th before it even ran at all. And it was a tempting swing over the weekend, and I didn't do it. And so that's something I'm trying to do too, is get these longs under control. Because when you see, this is such a classic setup now. I mean, it's so easy to see after the fact, but whenever you see a stock like this, this is a kind of a bigger company, and so the liquidity on it is going to be much higher. It's almost like GameStop, a stock that is sort of mid cap, distressed company that's at all-time lows, maybe breaking below $1, and it even gapped down here. And then you get this accumulation at the bottom. Look at the volume bars. So these 4 days right here were accumulation days for big money. That's what that was. So when you see that volume kicking in like that, that should be a signal to pay attention. And then especially this day, this was Friday, the biggest volume day of all yet. And then that's when the gap up happened. And then every single day after this, so it was a trade on Friday for the swing overnight. And then on Monday, it was like a 10-15 high day reclaim breakout buy for another, could have made 50% on it that day. And then the same exact setup on Tuesday as Monday, could have made another 50% on it, could have swung it overnight again. And then you get the blow off top for the short setup. So I don't know if I would have swung that last one overnight, but it was at least a good 50% intraday trade. So it could have been 100% between day 1, day 2, maybe 150 between the first 3 days, and then make another, maybe 30% on that short. So it's like, it's just money every day. It's crazy. But yeah, a lot of it's recognizing that opportunity. And this long setup is something I've been working on. I'm going to be hitting these when they show up, but the key is, it's pretty simple, but you see that breakout level on day 1. So day 1 of this move, you have a lot of really good calls. Thank you. We're getting there. But yeah, day 1, you got, okay, clear breakout levels right here, and then there's a gap fill. So the obvious thing to think with this is you got the accumulation pattern, accumulation every day, big volume days. I mean, you look back, there's no big volume days except for these ones right before the rip. That's how it works usually. So that's a potential accumulation. You never know for sure. Okay, and then when it gaps here, here's the breakout level right into the gap fill move. That should be the automatic assumption, is that this is maybe a gap fill setup. So then we take it into the intraday like this. All right, so here's the gap up overnight from the weekend. And then we don't know, this could fade. This could fade. But when it doesn't fade over here and it starts breaking out, high day breakout, that's the place to be buying it. And it was on track to do $1 billion on the day. So that's another key thing for a lot of these kinds of plays. If it's on track to do $1 billion on some cheap stock, you're getting some crazy float rotation. And that's what you need to have these kind of moves. So now I tried the short here and I cut it for scratch because I knew the potential of the squeeze, but then I didn't buy it, which was a huge mistake. So anyways, should have been buying it here. 30% right there intraday. It closed really nice. This is what you want to see for a swing overnight. Okay, I could have made 50% in after hours. I probably would have just taken that. And then you want a strong close though for a swing generally. We're still working on the swings, but you want it to close near the highs at least. Okay, not too much more. So let's say I sold it in after hours for 50%. Day 2, same setup. Same buy setup. So it's holding up too well right here, going into midday. Simply could buy the high day breakout right here, or buy it on this trend break. When things work, they just work easy. So you could pretty much pick your spot. Whatever entry strat you want to use should work. And then let's say I bought the high day breakout right here. And then, okay, we can make 50% intraday right there. It keeps going in after hours for 70%, 80%. If you have balls of steel, you swing it overnight and make even more. And then 200% overnight right there. And that's what you want. You want the speed up right there. You got to have a speed up to have a blow off top. It's just it gets way ahead of itself. It's not sustainable. It's a big squeeze happening. And because it's a squeeze, it cracks and it comes right back down. So, and that's what these guys are attacking. This exact kind of stuff. So it's hard to play both sides. That's why a lot of people just short. But a lot of these guys play both sides, and they'll buy these longs and do these overnight trades, or just trade these kind of moves intraday. Maybe sell half, swing half overnight, and then set up for the short once it's finally extended enough. So that's an A+++++ setup. So yeah, really that's the end game. You want to be just taking those kind of opportunities. And then also with the swing trades, there's similar quality setups with the swings that, again, they don't come around super often, but when they're there, it's easy money. And that's the time to be, taking a trade and really taking advantage of it. And then kind of just do some day trading just to stay sharp and stay in tune with things, do some small trades. But then when those kind of opportunities pop up, really take advantage of it. Tesla breakdown pullback. Tesla does want to maybe fill the gap. So let's see, there's a gap up towards 438. Yeah, and something else that's kind of interesting. So my best trade yesterday was AIRE, AIRE, and it's basically the same setup as BYND, but much smaller dollars being traded here. And so we got also, it didn't run as many days. It only ran for a day. Had the gap up short on day 2. And it came back down. So same exact setup. I need to be on a lot of these. Probably swing it overnight sometimes, or just maybe aim to swing it overnight, and then if it gives me 40 or 50% intraday, just take it. But a lot of these are just trash, like Nerve. So Nerve, we hit the short on Nerve right around 970, somewhere in there. And what's nice is when things work, they just work. It shouldn't be difficult. It should just kind of be easy if you're in the right spot. Obviously, double top fake out on that one was pretty brutal if you're early. But then after that, there's no rush to get out. Could have held it overnight even, and it was fine. And that's like more like 50% move overnight. So you could do about 30% intraday or 50% overnight. Tesla does look like it wants to bounce. Kind of slow in the small caps today. Kind of thinking after BYND taking off, maybe we see some more stuff running, but so far just slow. Here's another swing short opportunity, and Ranny. So we've got this multi-day runner. Now it is sort of liquidity squeeze type move, which is a little less appealing. But pretty clean trend break right here. Yesterday, 25% intraday. Overnight, I don't know. It's still playing out today. So yeah, 50% would be $1.64. I would probably give it until about 11 o'clock to see where it is and just take whatever it gives me at that point. Yeah, that's some things that are interesting is like the caliber setup with BYND is just 10 times better than anything else we've had recently, just because you've got the right pattern plus the liquidity. Like something like this is pretty illiquid compared to BYND. And then yeah, those big guys, they don't care about this stuff because they can't make anything. You're not gonna make millions on something like this. Just can't put the size on like that you need. Without risking pushing it around too much. For small accounts, it's great. See you, Scotty. Have a good one. Yeah, I think I will call it here today. We got pretty slow morning. Just VTYX. Maybe he's going to come down some. We'll see what that one does. Pretty slow overall. A lot of people probably taking vacation after BYND yesterday. But all right, we're going to call it there, guys. Good luck. I'll update Discord later, see if we get a good trade here or not. And we'll be back at it tomorrow.